So today's question will probably be a quick one. Got a question from a guy who says he's curious about what my views are on the rear naked choke across the face. So for you guys, especially, I know we have some new people on the channel. Rear naked choke, beautiful choke right underneath the neck. You either tap out or you go night-night. And then the rear naked choke across the face is basically a face crank where we'll get here and we'll wrench it across. Now there is a way to choke them if you get your elbow pit right there cupped over top of the chin, and you can finish a choke there, can actually make them go out. But what this person's talking about is the one that some of you may have seen during matches where they'll literally just take that forearm across the face and just wrench it back until the person taps. So he's wondering what my views are on that in training. So brother, thank you for the question. And when it comes to training, there's different things that I'm after. First off, I don't care if I win every roll. I'm 36 years old. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 20 years. I've accomplished a lot of things that I'm proud of. I don't really have anything to prove to anyone. And so I'm always trying to get better at jiu-jitsu. That's what I'm focused on, is getting better with my technique and getting better at jiu-jitsu overall. And so a couple things have to happen. One, I like going for things that are technically challenging for me over things that are a little bit easier, right? So I like going for things that are going to push me. And then I also have to have training partners to train with, otherwise I can't get better. These two things will be important in a second. And then the other thing is that when it comes to training, I need to make sure my training partners are healthy, they're not banged up, because I want them to come back tomorrow so I have more training partners to roll with, right? So let's get into it. So when I'm going for someone, let's say if I have the back, I'm faced with the option of either sliding up under the neck or going across the face, and we'll say that person is really doing a good job of keeping their chin tucked. What am I gonna do? Am I gonna go for the face crank or the going under the neck? 100% of the time in training, I'm gonna go underneath of the neck. Because for me, one, that is a much more challenging task, right? I can easily, if someone's chin's tucked, it doesn't take a rocket doctor to take your forearm and then just crank it across, right? But getting underneath the neck, that is a challenge, because that's a whole nother thing. And there's nothing to me, it's one of my favorite moves. A rear naked choke is one of my favorite moves. And there's nothing more beautiful than like hand fighting and getting grips and everything, and then getting that arm right up underneath, and you feel it slide up all the way underneath the neck. The elbow's perfectly underneath of the chin. So you know it's a crisp, clean choke. There's nothing better than that in jiu-jitsu, for me at least, because I know what that means. And so I love that feeling. And so that's what I'm searching for. Also, for my training partners, I want them to want to roll with me later. And so if every time I take their back, I'm just wrenching their face, again, maybe if your gym's like cool with it and everybody face cranks and that's just sort of the nature of it, that's fine. My gym doesn't do it. So if I started cranking people's faces, they would probably get pissed off at me and not want to train with me. So that's going to impede my ability to get better, because now I'm missing training partners. And then with the last thing, if I'm wrenching my partner's neck and jacking their neck up, well then now they might not be able to train as hard tomorrow. So now like when they come in, they're like walking around all stiff because their neck's jacked up. It happens sometimes. But again, another one of my goals in jiu-jitsu when I'm training is to train as hard as I can possibly, or hard as possible, or hard as I want to that day. But at the same time, making sure that I keep my training partners safe, and hopefully making sure that they can train tomorrow, and that no matter how hard we go, we're no worse for the wear. Neither one of us is injured, and we can come back tomorrow, right? Because you got to think about this. I cannot get better without my training partners. So I have to treat my training partner, I have to value their safety as much as I do my own. Because if I don't, then I injure my training partners, I got nothing to work with. It's like I've heard people say the term, if you break all your toys, you got nothing to play with. It's very true for jiu-jitsu. And so in the gym, I'm not going to be someone that's going to use a face crank. I just don't like it. Now, and plus it's a mean thing to do, and I don't want to train mean. Like face crank, that's like something I'm going to do if I'm really like irritated or something, and maybe like I'm in an MMA fight or something. I've done an MMA fight before, but I've never done it in a match. I've never done it in a competition or a jiu-jitsu role in the gym and training. So again, you can do it, I guess, if it's what your gym does, and they are legal in a lot of competitions. But for me personally in training, it's not something I'm going to mess with, just because, again, I'm going to categorize that move. It's kind of a dick move in the gym if you're just going for a roll. Now, again, last disclaimer I'll include. If your gym does them and everybody's doing them, then be prepared to use them and do it. But for me personally, it's not my thing. And one last reason as to why, I'll share this. I used to train, I've been around for a long time, right? Almost 20 years in jiu-jitsu, and I've trained with some really big guys, big, thick dudes. I remember there was a guy years ago who was 260, jacked to the gills, huge traps, huge neck. And I remember like trying to get something on his neck, and I remember reverting to like kind of like lifting up on under the bridge of the nose and trying to crank his face a little bit to get him to move his face, and he just ate it, right? He wasn't having any of it. And I found I had more success anyway with going underneath the neck, because when I got that, even if he was big and strong, big old thick neck, and I couldn't like face crank him or anything, when I got underneath of his neck, that was it. That's all she wrote, right? And he didn't have, you can't, all the muscle in the world's not going to help you when I get that arm around, right? And so again, that's my piece. So hopefully that answers your question, brother, and I'll talk to you guys next time.